in general is so puzzling. There's so many other champions that offer wave clear and something else, and at least have range. I mean, as a melee champion, the downside's so much higher if you're Galio, if things go wrong, and he just did nothing that game. His one ultimate instantly interrupted.
Yeah, and we do have the draft started already. World Elite swapping over to the blue side. EDG here on the red. Annie Lysandra banned by World Elite, so picking on you a little bit again. And Nidalee, the first ban from EDG. Urgot in there as well. And we'll see if World Elite, do they want to take away, use other champion? From memory, it was Lulu that they could take away here.
I mean, the Lulu could be the potential ban. The respect ban, look at this, Spirit. Instantly, you step onto a carry jungle, they have to ban it. You're already forcing their hand against you, and opens up other opportunities for your team. Sejuani, though, the last ban. Could have been a first pick, first picked a lot on patch 5.6, and it's actually EDG that banned away the Lulu, smelling a rat.
Yeah, I mean, very strong pick, it seems like here. Red side Lulu bans, I think, twice now from EDG in this series, and respecting the champion a lot. They played it to great effect in game one, and they're going to ban it away here in the fourth as well. Woodley have a few considerations here for first pick, but nothing quite jumping out at me yet.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised by the Lulu bans. Even on patch 5.6, Juggermore is still a thing. You can still fit Lulu so flexibly in multiple roles that banning it away and just making the enemy be a bit more accountable or predictable with their picks is never a bad thing. Nunu's in so much priority, and despite putting Clear Love in the dumpster, you'd have to say, in the previous game on Nidalee, he just locks it in for himself.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit's a great Nunu player. I think it's him, Clear Love, and Dandy that really excel in that champion. Sorry, Loveland, you didn't get a mention this time. And EDG going to see what they want to go through. Korra, of course, going to flick through some unconventional champions, as he is wont to do. But EDG have to carefully consider. I don't think they expected to come into here and lose a game to World Elite, but have to refocus themselves now for this fourth game.
And, of course, that means that Korra has to go back onto Maokai duty. No more fun for you, Korra. He's had match histories with only Maokai in previous weeks, so it should be no surprise that he defaults back to that champion. And there's, of course, Clear Love. He's got the Gragas this time.
Back on Gragas. Loves it in the first game when he played it. Very strong jungler right now on 5.6. A tad surprised to see Nunu picked above it, but I think Nunu works so well for Spirit and how he likes to bring his team back up. If he's not going to be on a carry, I think he needs to go overly supportive, and Nunu certainly suits that role.
I really like Gragas from EDG just because they have such excellent target prioritization. They're just throwing in that cask, separating the threats of an enemy team. You know that EDG is going to be so on point, picking a target out of the madness that is the explosive cask in the middle of an enemy team, that they're going to profit from the reposition. That's so flexible and so unique to Gragas' kit.
You can see World Elite making some considerations. Jinx swapped over at the last second there for Xie, and this setup is incredible for World Elite. They're expecting Mystic to carry again, but taking Jinx away from Deft and giving Morgana and Nunu to support it. Mystic has got a big weight in his shoulders now.
And it looks like there's no option for a Hecarim to deal with this hyper carry in this situation, unless we see a Maokai in the support role, which has, of course, been seen so far in the LPL, but the dive suddenly looks quite difficult against Mystic on this Jinx. You'd have to think, with the Black Shield already being confirmed, you need multiple sources of magic damage to ensure that there's multiple ways to get rid of that Black Shield and this explode the Jinx or push him away from his team. Although, you could take the opposite approach and fight firepower with firepower.
Very opposite there. EDG going to match scaling and late game supports here as well. Nami Cog versus Morgana Jinx is our likely potential 2v2. Def doesn't play Cog that often, but his Cog games this split have been wonderful.
And Cog Nami, that's the strongest of the Cogmore lanes. We're considering the Janna available but likely to fall through this pick and ban. Just because, again, it has such a strong laning phase. You have that heal. You have the Astral Blessing for a bit more, the Tycor's Blessing for a bit more harass. Those two synergize so well, and they should win the 2v2 matchup. And in the late game, not many stand next to Cogmore in terms of late game damage, but Jinx is right up there.
Yeah, Vlad's open as well, by the way, but Mystic is hovering Azir for Xie. I like Azir a bit more just for helping the hyper carry potential, and kind of the similar thing there for Sion.
Lock it in, you.
Yeah, that's the pick, but he's hovering the Ziggs. I was expecting Xerath, but Ziggs would be just fine as well, and fits the comp. I mean, again, both the AD carries are the focuses of these two team comps as they're built right now. And Mako going to go through some of Yu's classic champions. I imagine it's going to be one of Ziggs, Xerath, or Orianna, but we'll see if he has another curveball.
I mean, I'd like to see the Ziggs, to be honest. Like, he's obviously very practiced. The team has run Ziggs plenty of times. They've got a Kog'Maw, so they're already looking to scale up for the late game. Orianna will be fine, but there is a little bit of possible negative synergy between the explosive cask and the ball carrier Maokai going into the backline, but they're going to go with the Orianna.
Yeah, want something maybe a bit more control, perhaps just more utility for Deft as well. Not necessarily not trusting you with the Ziggs, but just being like, we're all in on protecting Deft, because honestly, World Elite, very similar looking comp for them.
And it's the sort of comp LGD have been running, just throwing multiple shields onto a Kog'Maw, adding some lifesteal, maybe even picking up the Zeke's Herald on Mako, and just ensuring that Kog'Maw can fight in the front line and do massive damage. So EDG definitely fighting firepower with firepower. They realized that because they had already opted into the Maokai, diving onto the Jinx didn't really look like a realistic option, so they just had to fight with another hyper carry of their own.
Yeah, and World Elite's comp is absolutely fantastic. We'll go through the matchups here. Sion versus Maokai, trademark top laners for both of these players, and as we move probably soon to the jungle now as well. Spirit on Nunu, Clearlove with the Gragas.
So Clearlove's onto the Gragas, needs to be able to separate Jinx away from his teammates. That's the big thing. But it's hard to get magic damage onto break the Black Shield in this game in particular. Orianna probably not going to get the ball onto Jinx of all people, and there's not that much other magic damage to stop that Black Shield from ensuring that the explosive cask going to do nothing to Jinx.
Yeah, and of course, Morgana versus Nami, very defensive supports to protect and peel for these big AD carries. But I think if you asked World Elite what they want to blind pick, what they've got in this game probably look very close.
It's just going to be a game of who can actually get onto the backline, because there's a lot of peel for both teams. It's actually the mid laner from World Elite. It's all going to be about the Emperor's Divide peeling for the Jinx, whereas, of course, Nami has the waves to potentially peel as well. So it's going to be all about who can fall down, who can navigate best. You probably always give that to Deft on the Kog'Maw, but Jinx has been the real MVP of this final series.
Yeah, I mean, she's just been great. We've had, yeah, you're right, 2 Jinx games in a row and 2 wins for the Jinx players as World Elite and EDG have split the last 2, but we'll see which Jinx is better now. We're going to get straight into Game 4. And unfortunately, we do have a pause to start this game off, so not straight into it quite yet as Clearlove adjusting the headset, getting focused back into the game. Did not have a standout game in the last one, so needs to make sure. I think he's tapping his headset, maybe saying, hey, I can't hear my teammates. That's probably essential.
Absolutely, and it's a standard Kog'Maw lineup, definitely not a Juggernaut comp coming through, although plenty of shielding and peel coming through for the Kog'Maw on the EDG lineup. The use of the explosive cask is really the exciting thing for me to speculate on as we move to the end of the game. Again, probably not going to be able to get the engage onto Mystic because they don't have the magic damage to pop the Black Shield. We don't have multiple magic damage sources to really get that engage. I mean, there's always the potential, but it's looking unlikely, at least as the comps come together. Both teams are going to be about setting up around their hyper carries because, as we mentioned, if you're able to fight as an Azir in the backline, set up a couple of Sand Soldiers, have that Emperor's Divide to stop any divers onto Jinx, the Jinx should be very safe. The diver should take a lot of damage. But I mean, Kog'Maw being unattended on the EDG side is also a big thing to consider, and it's hard to get through the Shockwave, through the Nami CC as well. So it's going to be a fight definitely fought on multiple fronts, and whoever can deal with the hyper carry will probably take this game.
Yeah, I mean, support summoners even, as you kind of look through what's available at level 1, are interesting in and of themselves. Conan with Ignite there on his Morgana, but Mako's gone with Exhaust, and I love the choice normally, but who are you really peeling off here?
I guess it has to be Aluka, but I mean, it doesn't really feel like you need Exhaust in that situation. I guess the Ignite doesn't really give you kill pressure on the diving Scion, so just Exhaust to get some of those base damages away. Maybe the Nunu Absolute Zero is going to be registering, and it has the high base value, so that's another kind of big AoE like Kennen's ultimate that you can happily exhaust. But I understand what you're saying. It doesn't look, it's no like Tryndamere, which is an obvious exhaust target. There's no even Aurelia that's another great exhaust target. It's just a negative summon, a defensive summoner for a defensive team. They're all about setting Deft up to carry in the backline. And
Deft's certainly been shown to carry in games. He's had 3 wonderful games in a row despite the loss that EDG sustained in the last game here. But World Elite, again, I said it, if they could blind pick a comp, they might pick this one. I mean, they've played a lot of Vlad with the Jinx Nunu to supplement for even more additional damage, but GA is putting a lot of faith in his AD carry player Mystic here as well. We've seen his Jinx, we've complemented it time and time again in the last few weeks. Yes, GA does have carry potential on the Azir as well. I love it with the Blood Bowl synergy as well. Spirit has 2 great targets for that ability. Even Sion with some extra speed isn't too bad, but at the end of the day, you look at the Jinx, you look at the Kog'Maw, 2 great AD carry players, and they're the big anchors for these 2 team comps.
But the crazy thing is that both these comps do better kiting back than they do going aggressive. So the fights are just going to be super interesting to watch. You have to feel like the Shockwave from Orianna is going to be held for a long time in a fight because there's no obvious divers coming through, barring the Scion and Maokai. Both of them can be used for peel as well. It's just going to be addictive fights just to sit back and watch how teams engage. I mean, maybe the team that gets the first early control over Dragon will kind of dictate the pace of this game and force the enemy to come into them, because in an even situation, both teams have good wave clear, both teams are defensive minded. This could be a very passive game, or maybe we'll just see some surprising aggression that belittles the comps that have been selected.
Yeah, any sort of lead here. This is kind of the thing with late game comps in general. When everyone's trying to pick and outscale each other, you get to this neutral point where it's like, okay, well, we're both going to get strong in the late game, so let's farm up. When teams can actually get a foothold into a game, all of a sudden, any mid-game power that you haven't picked for because you're trying to outscale your opponent, suddenly you're behind in a game and like, well, I don't really have any good tools to catch up.
And the crazy thing is, you look at the lane matchups, for the first game out of 4, there's no obvious incentive for either of these teams to swap finally. No smite teleport taken by Koro, so standard lanes probably going to rain out. Of course, Sion versus Maokai, we're going to see split farm in the mid lane between Azir and Orianna. It's not quite Azir Xerath, but still going to be a big farm fest in the mid lane. You'd probably give the advantage to Kognami in the laning phase, so maybe you'd want to navigate away from the Kognami lanes, but it's not a huge advantage for EDG. So standard lanes wouldn't be a surprise.
I mean, I think that slightly favors EDG, not necessarily on matchup, but maybe just skill that we've seen. Mystic and Conan, despite being a fairly new bottom lane. Yeah, I mean, Deft is just such a good laner with Mako that, especially in a Kognami lane that does have a lot of strength to it, I might give, again, a slight edge there, but that's barely anything here. We're going to see, again, junglers be a big deal here. Both Spirit and Clearlove can impact lanes and jungle alike with the champions they have, and understandably, Spirit, who puts the team on his back, whether he's on Nunu or on Nidalee, he's going to have to do work here once again.
I would say that if a jungle follow was forced, for example, if Wadley did initiate that lane top and it wasn't called by EDG, you'd say the jungle follow coming through from a Maokai Gragas might actually outweigh that of Sion Nunu, just because if you gank mid with that deal, we're talking so much targeted CC coming through that you could do potentially a lot of work in ganks. So I mean, Azir's always going to hang back, but probably even more incentive to do so this game.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what breaks out as we do bop into the game here. Pause is over, and Game 4 is on between World Elite and EDG. And Deft and Mako, very sneaky, but do get spotted out, and Conan gets some free money.
And even that first comment, the fact that we're playing a 4th game is a super surprise if you tuned in for the first 2. Soundly won by EDG, but the same story for World Elite. They were very on point in your last series. So far, we see the lanes meeting in the bottom lane, but with all these backs, unsure to see where we end up.
Clearlove loses his trinket ward there as well. Good pressure applied by Azir and Nunu, getting that out of the way, and warding the Raptor is going to mean that Koro has to start on another camp, probably going to walk towards the walls, but again, early jungle vision makes one thing, and that's predictability.
You can see that Deft's already opting out of the 2v2. Despite having a good laning matchup, I feel like maybe they've cottoned on to the fact that the jungle follow, and it's especially the 2-man roaming gank squad of Gragas Maokai, can apply a lot of pressure. Of course, they have a very fast jungle clear with the saplings to proc, and then the Arcane Smash being on a very short cooldown. So despite, once again, laning phases, the actual 2v2 strength has been completely irrelevant this game.
Yeah, interesting to see Koro actually pop a sapling on the Wolf camp. I think they realize that they want to go for a fast blue here instead, because he's got 2 down here. The one on the Wolves not going to do enough damage, I don't think, to take out the little ones, and instead Koro and Clearlove going to start a very aggressive two-man jungle.
You might think this is counterintuitive, but sometimes it's just because of the opportunity cost. If you don't need that sapling to take it down, if someone's going to invade you, then at least you have a sapling already prepped to take another camp. So because it's not a big trade, because you're not actually losing anything, because the speed difference is like so minimal, sometimes doing something like that, it'll help you 1 out of 10 times, but that 1 out of 10 times, you get a big advantage.
Yeah, great point there, as we see you and GA trading autos here in the mid lane. Pretty interesting to see who wins the early auto trades between these two champions, known for their aggressive auto attacking here, but good protect there from Orianna, and Shea right now, at least on the range, winning the early trades.
I'm going to tell you, it's definitely going to be Azir. He doesn't need to get into auto attack range to auto attack with those Sand Soldiers. Much bigger locus of control early when respecting the ranged Sand Soldiers and the fact that they can do damage. I mean, it's a very similar interaction to the ball, but of course it's as if the ball could auto attack at 400-500 range. So Gia definitely going to win those auto attack trades. You might have wanted to actually consider going for the very defensive regen start with the Flask, just because he's going to take a lot of damage this game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Flask, to be honest. I actually like it just from his personal style and the matchups that he's sort of been put into. Xie, quite an aggressive young player here, of course, one of the Chinese solo queue superstars, and World Elite having control of the bottom side of the map here, going to immediately get onto a quick dragon.
We mentioned the fact that the team that get the objective snowball would probably have a big advantage, given that both of these are kite comps. Alucard's going to solo this down. And it's not energy pacemaker here, folks, but still we see a Sion dying to Dragon for the first one.
Yeah, nice early one here as well. Luca has died for a second time, unfortunately, this game, to neutrals both times as well, so rip the Sion KDA. But
the fantasy points are not working for Sion.
No, but gets a good early Dragon there for his team. I think structures are the big one for me. There's good wave clear and good siege on both teams. But we have a dive brewing here. Teleport down as well. Koro going to try and get away, but gets ignited. Does flash away, but can he by any more time? Will get knocked up, and Morgana Champions gets first blood.
Very strange to see Koro in that position. Saw that the Dragon had gone down. Only had one defensive ward for himself. No one else on that side of the jungle. Gragas backing opened up a perfect time for a turret dive. Okay, they have to use a summoner for it, but the freeze was on top anyway, so they lose very little, and they get the first blood.
Yeah, the one nice thing is that Koro did save his teleport after helping clear up with his early jungle, so doesn't have to walk back and port there immediately, but a little awkward to give first blood away, and if they can keep rediving here, especially if Nunu gets that side stone and gets so tanky so quickly, Koro could start to struggle.
I guess maybe they were spotted going back over wards or backing in vision, because otherwise you can't just teleport bottom. You might just get killed for a second time, but gets away with it in this situation and actually ends up in a level 4 versus level 2 battle against Sion.
Yeah, we've actually had a swap back here for World Elite, and EDG immediately pack up shop in the top lane and maybe look to swap back again. Apparently Def does not like Mystic very much. This is the second game in a row where he's consistently dodged him.
I mean, look, maybe he's just looking for a certain item timing in this matchup. Maybe Jinx maybe Jinx being against a Phage, for example, the orb walking might help the Kog'Maw and the auto attack trades. I mean, both of them, of course, scaling up with range between the Bioarcane Barrage and the Q ability for Jinx. You know, the rocket launcher and the fishbones coming through. So just waiting to see. But no, he's actually just backing to buy some items.
Yeah, I mean, as it turns out, just getting his components for a Phage, as Mystic's already got a pickaxe. Does favor Mystic slightly there with some extra flat AD, but Cog, once he gets going, if Def can find a good pastime for that Trinity Force, he'll be just fine, and maybe even look to see EDG get back to those famous Trinity Force AD carry rotations.
Absolutely. Trinity Force AD carry makes a triumphant return despite there being quite a lot of tankiness coming through from Spirit and Aluka on the Nunu and Sion. Of course, you are a tank buster when you're Kog'Maw. You have that Bioarcane Barrage for maximum health damage. You will eventually itemize to being able to deal with those tanky members. So you can go to Trinity Force. You have a very big one-item power spike with that Trinity Force. Bioarcane Barrage, the Bioarcane Barrage not costing any mana now, of course, means that you get those instant Trinity Force trades from a very long way away. And because you naturally win this lane matchup with the sustain advantage on Nami, I thought he'd be happy with the 2v2. Surprised to see they look to be opting out, but nope, just back to the 2v2.
Yeah, back there now, so should be happy days. Horde Elite, of course, with the early Dragon means that right now they're not giving up any objective pressure in the bottom side of the map, so we'll flip the map once more here in this one, and Def very comfortable here, even in farming towards the top side. In fact, pretty even across the board.
Yeah, exactly. CS value is definitely working fine. You finally anchored to 51 CS, winning in CS against the Azir despite opting in with the Doran ring, with the aggressive purchase. That's actually a big thing for Orianna.
Yeah, looking good here so far. As Clearlive might even entertain a gank. No, Shea is going to spot him. Clearlive will have to leave. Walk straight over a ward, did Gragas. So good pressure there from Shea just to keep him away. And you see the ball starting to get some trades in. Again, Orianna respecting the range of the soldiers.
Speaking of trades, just look at the top. Mystic is taking huge auto attack trades that he can't deal with from Deft with the Bioarcane Barrage. And this is how I expected the lane matchup to go. That's why I was surprised to see them not opt into the 2v2.
And you can see again Black Shield coming down. Going to shake off a little bit of that magic damage there that Deft is doing. But Kog'Maw have to show him so much respect when that ability is activated. Ward going to get cleared though here by Shea, and Spirit going to walk in looking for a steal, but you already got the buff.
And of course, Deft is so smart about when he chooses to activate the Bioarcane Barrage. The moment that a minion falls low, especially a melee minion, definitely the cannon when eventually the next cannon wave spawns, activate that W, ensure that Mystic gets punished for taking any trades.
Yeah, you there, protect again here in the middle of the lane. Trying to shake off some of the damage from Shea, and again, really respecting the range here of Azir, waiting those soldiers out, going to move the ball back in, now get wave cleared down with the dissonance. Yu's playing very comfortably, but that's all he has to do in the matchup.
And when you get more levels and you get closer and closer to instant wave clear with enough points in your dissonance and command attack, you can afford to sit back. You can afford to always orb walk back after every spell rotation, and you're not getting punished in CS. It was in the early levels that I expected Azir to get a big advantage. Wasn't able to do that, and now Orianna, she can definitely run away with this lane.
Yeah, even started to push as Deft, continuing to pressure the top side. Mystic real low, and unfortunately the news here is Clearlive looking for a steal, going to throw the barrel in. Did he get it? Nope, Shea got away with it.
It's definitely not an AP Gragas barrel, that's for sure, Peshon. The base value is certainly not there anymore. It's close to the steal, but not not able to take it away from Azir.
Mystic does have his heal, so Def probably not going to go in for a heroic flash there with the Bioarcane Barrage. Actually chomping down on a potion or two, I believe. So going to get a little bit of health and mana back, but forcing Mystic away, they'll push the minion wave into the turret. And as I said, it was bad before for Jinx, but with Living Artillery up now as well, it only gets worse.
But with 47 seconds till Dragon spawning, they both back. Makes sense, they push the minion wave in. But will they just go back to top and seed away the second Dragon to move Def closer and closer to the Trinity Force? Or will they actually rotate to bottom to try and contest for this second Dragon?
Korra's going back as well, does have his teleport, so might be seeing a very smart, well-timed swap back here from EDG. They've been on top of their rotations for a lot of it in depth. I think they must be wanting to contest Dragon because that's a Sheen.
Yeah, he's got the Sheen. He's gone for the trades. He's already winning the trades happily. Of course, that Sheen proc along with the Trinity Force proc both going to be applying on the Bioarcane Barrage. So suddenly the trades get even stronger for EDG. And the offensive option, very offensive option tells me that, as you mentioned, but they're going to look to keep laning 2v2, and they're going to opt into the Dragon fight.
Let's get some contests going now, as Mako even going to move in, get a couple of wards down. Mystic clearing out the Krugs. Very comfy, actually, there. Early Berserker is going to help with some of the early trade damage, especially in minigun form. And you got a nice defensive pink ward up the top as well. Waterly, by the way, nice little deep pink ward on the right-hand side, just above the pink that we saw from EDG, and has not been cleared yet, to give them a lot of free vision, especially towards the blue buff area.
3 pink wards down, 1 to stop any potential turret dives coming through onto Orianna. Of course, answered by that World Elite pink ward, just for vision. But 3 pink wards down around Dragon means that it should be a fairly safe start if they choose to engage.
Clearly going in. Is on top of a ward, though. Does not quite have his sweeper up yet, so can't choose to sort of swipe that away. We'll see what he wants to get done here in the rest of the stages as well. But EDG, I think they should look to contest this second Dragon if they can. No one's aggressed on it yet. It is back up, though, and we're going to see a fight for it, as most of the teams have rotated their dual lanes back down to the bottom.
In the 2v2, we're actually seeing a gold lead starting to be built up by Deft after those early trades. Those without items. Now with the Sheen, the burst trades just get better, and we see a 12 CS advantage for Deft. Advantage Cogmore, never something you want to say as a bottom laner.
No, and he's only going to get stronger. That Trinity Force, especially, depending on its timing, could be the big difference here in this game. We said it, with 2 late game comps looking to scale up here and some very late game carries. The game is very tense here. There's not a big margin for error if you fall behind, because again, when you have late game champions, you don't really have any way to catch up in the mid game.
And just in terms of other item timings, nothing really big coming through in terms of item times. Catalyst versus Spectre's Cow, identical gold veil, those items. Working towards the Athenes, you have to say you might be closer because there's an extra amp tome in the inventory for Azir, and he's behind in CS. And the Berserker Greaves gives a bit more better rotational play to Mystic. Again, we've seen a lot of Berserker Greaves rush on Jinx. Helps you orb walk and get that last order because you lose a lot of attack speed in rocket form.
Yeah, have to switch out and chase them down. Mako going to clear out a pink ward, though. Clear Love's in the area, so able to provide support, and Waterly do not even move into contest. And that Dragon's been up for 1.5 to 2 minutes, and no one's gone near it yet. So, as we said, a very tensely balanced game right now.
So you just see the gold advantage is still with EDG. So it was with World Elite, now just matched by EDG, despite the fact that across the board, CS is in the advantage for EDG.
Yep, Spirit now rotating into the mid as well, going to help GA push in. And it's one of the nice benefits of running Nunu Blood Boil. Not too shabby on Azir, and they're going to get some damage under this turret. Yu's gone back, he's got his Athenes, but he's going to lose a lot of turret damage as a result. And Clearlove going to walk in, maybe even ult somebody back here. Good wave clear coming through. Ult Spirit off the turret, but now maybe caught out of position. Shie might look to chase him, but just pokes him away instead.
They just want to poke him to try and take away this pink ward. Of course, you can do that with the Sand Soul. Just a very cute interaction. Had to use the smite on the minion wave, then the barrel and the ultimate. So a lot of his kit used just to relieve pressure because of what looked like a poor back timing for Orianna.
Yeah, just couldn't quite get it done. Nice rotation from Spirit, actually, as a result, taking advantage of that timing to get good damage under that turret. Again, it's the little things that will really start snowballing out of control. Trades are fine, but if teams start eking away advantages, that probably isn't going to stop, as Deft and Mystic trading blows in the bottom side of the map. Aqua isn't just why, but Black Shield was on anyway. And again, this Dragon been up for quite a few minutes now, and no one is moving in aggressively for it.
Very even damage trade that time, so Mystic finally got a couple of rockets. The extra movement speed from the boots was helping him massively in that situation. Deft has to respect the execution damage coming through from the Super Mega Death Rocket, so the burst trades seem to be winning for Deft, but if they go for the even extended trades, Mystic gets back into them.
Clear Love down here as well. Ultimate not quite back up and on a fairly short cooldown at this stage of the game, but Clear Love going back. Probably needs a few more wards. Might have a Sightstone ready to go if that's what he wants. The Spirit spots a ward down towards the bottom side with the rat percents tingling. But Sightstone, Stalker's Blade already completed, plus the Cinderhulk. Nunu looking great for Spirit so far.
I mean, but it's still been a very quiet early game. It's hard to say who that really benefits because, again, the scaling's fairly similar into the late game. Maybe a slight advantage to EDG, but also a lot more magic damage, so a bit easier to itemize in the early to mid game for World Elite. It's just all even. And again, who can execute best on their kite comp with hyper carry? That's the late game team fights, I feel, will just be explosive this game.
Oh, good poke there from Def. Lands a living artillery right onto Mystic after the Voidoo. So getting small advantages in the bottom side. You can see the CS mounting slowly, about 20 up now for Def. Maybe grows a little as Mystic goes back to the Krugs to get a bit of additional farm. But if this Dragon, which is still up, by the way, doesn't get contested soon, we're going to have one hell of a team fight for the second Dragon.
In terms of turret health, both outer turrets in the mid lane are falling very low. Specifically, Azir got another Judy auto-attacking on that outer turret. It's falling low. Deft going to finally start doing some turret damage in the bottom, get those Sheen procs onto the turret. But it's still very healthy.
Kalila rotating down as well, but Ward Leader spotted him out. A great ward there coming through, but a good Black Shield. Going to shrug off some of Kog'Maw's early magic damage and clear them down here just to help clear the wave. EDG, I think they want to force onto Dragon, but with back time is probably needed here as well. It's quite dangerous, and instead they'll just trade for a little bit of turret pressure.
I mean, Jinx has to back away. Now it's porting back to base. Has to respect the explosive cask initiation coming through from Clearlove. So going to get a lot of damage to this turret. Will they start the Dragon, though? Because you feel like Jinx, if she gets in position, can definitely contribute.
And Deft very aware of his mana. I think going to stay and finish the tower in the bottom side. First turret will finally fall. Spirit comes into the mid. Xie real aggressive with the 3 sand soldiers diving forward, but moves them back in, clears out the wave. Ward there as well, and Def might have to back here. Jinx is already back with the BF sword completed along with the Berserker Greaves and the pickaxe, and Mako going away. EDG might have given up too much pressure as Conan actually down here as well, going to start the ultimate, but no one quite here yet, but just enough going in. Good block there by Mako, but Def getting way too low. Spirit gets the first kill. Mako going to go down here as well, and World Elite are really on point.
Yeah, EDG might lose the maximum in this situation. They should have backed earlier as Jer wants to back away from the turret. He wants to keep his turret up, but there's a situation where they might lose multiple things.
Very aggressive by you, perhaps too aggressive. Gets Emperor's Divine, flashes over Ignite down as well. Amazing solo kill by Orianna.
Yeah, that was really nice play from you. Finally onto the Orianna. We wanted to see it last game, but pulled it off here, and the Ignite came out trumps in the trade.
Yeah, really nice stuff. Barrier not there. Spirit coming in, uses the smite, slows down as well. Absolute Zero gets standard, and Orianna just living. Spirit dives in, and you gets another kill.
You can step away with so much swagger. Look at that smile on the face. He's feeling pretty good about himself because that was sick.
That was indeed, and Spirit shaking his head a little bit, being like that might have been a slight miscalculation. Not enough damage there on the ulti, and again, that Dragon's still alive, so EDG, after use heroic plays, are actually going to get a Dragon.
Yeah, crazy. That was just overly aggressive from World Elite. So let's just kind of work out what happened there. EDG overstayed, so they should have paid for it with a double kill and the Dragon, and they would have even been very close. They could have rotated 4 members to the outer turret and mid, and basically got everything, but the overly aggressive die gives them back the Dragon advantage, and World Elite, they lose out on the advantage they created themselves. Wait for this solo kill, though. So Jia had already used the Shockwave at this point. So you had already used the Shockwave at this point, so Jia was feeling bloody. Didn't think the burst damage was there, but didn't calculate in the Ignite. The barrier was used at some point during that trade, maybe earlier when the Shockwave went out. And solo kill from you, and follow that up with a double.
Oh, going again, actually, distance landing in. Tower does go down. Shia uses his ulti defensively, but Orianna gonna chase in. The distance popped again. Spirit, though, finally in the area just in time, and you can't quite finish him off again.
But the scary thing about donating extra kills to an Orianna is that that spills over into other lanes. In the team fight, suddenly that shield is that much bigger for the Kog'Maw. Suddenly it's that much harder to kill him. I mean, it's not just a mid lane focus thing, just because, again, Orianna has offensive and defensive scaling with AP, and it's already snowballed.
Yeah, the need to see Large Rod nice as well. Any of the 3 choices will be just fine here for you. I'm guessing a Rabadon's Death Cap, if you had to ask me, but we'll see what he wants to go with. And again, pressuring in. Orianna quite good in sieges as well. They're placing the ball aggressively. Mako actually going to tank up some of the turret, and Def walks in. Trinity Force rotation. They'll get the last hit eventually.
Waiting for that last auto attack. I believe a Sheen auto attack with Kog'Maw, even without the minion wave, would have been enough damage. But they back away. They know they'll get it eventually. And the shield, it was bigger because of the Neos Large Rod. It's already paying off.
Yeah, just playing it safe there. Deft does clear out the turret, but the Trinity Force has been completed. So EDG getting more aggressive, and again, starting to to pick things up. 1,000 gold ahead. Not a massive lead by any stretch, but that little misstep there by Xie might cost World League quite a lot in this game.
So just talking about the Needless Large Rod items for Orianna, we've actually seen Godvi go for the Luden's Echo, and you move the ball around so much and naturally move around that you can get quite a lot of procs on that ability. But with a Kog'Maw, especially with a hyper carry, just go for the highest AP values to ensure that you have both offensive and defensive capabilities. I feel like the death cap earlier just makes the most sense.
Yeah, not too afraid of any divers as well to, I think, warrant Azonia's. So I like to pick up here. I imagine that's what Yu's going for. Sorkshu's done there as well, so even more flat damage coming through increases some of that wave clear potential as well. Stinger done now for Xie as he moves in, possibly for Azonia's actually, with the amplifying tone, but things looking good for Azir. I like this build a lot. Very mid-game focus and transitions you nicely towards the later stages. But as we said, 2-0 on the Orianna. That's been the biggest impact in this game, surprisingly.
Luca's already been able to itemize basically exclusively magic resist coming through with a Banshee Veil already. You feel like if old train driver Aluka gets that ultimate on point, gets into the backline on depth, he can unsettle a lot of what EDG's trying to do.
Sun turret in the mid falls down, but Mako going to pop his ultimate. Clearlove looking for a wave. He wants to line up Mystic. Going to go around the side for it, but they flash away. Aluka down here as well. Ult on to Clearlove, but you going to protect him. He will go down. Shia gets a kill on Mystic, kiting away wonderfully, but Nunu does go down there. Shia ulting in there as well, but gets exhausted by the Nami. Death flashes forward aggressively. Aqua Bubble going in, but the Black Shield, beautiful. Shockwave only onto Aluka, but Koro's so tanky. You goes down to Mystic though. Now Conan going to move back in, and Aluka also very tanky. Forces Deft to kite away, and Koro has to keep running. Deft is so low. Mako gets sniped, and that's horrible news. Deft going to go down again. Koro goes in. He wants to kill. He's going to go throw into Mystic. Does get it there. The kill actually from Kog'Maw with the passive gets in, and Conan the only one left along with Koro. Koro going to try and chase in and finish the kill. Sapling not quite there for the slow, but it's running down. Can he get Conan? Yes, he can.
The last Sapling gets the last laugh. They pick up the win, but it's oh so close. You could see that fight. Multiple AD carries kiting back. Slight advantage to Maokai was the big factor in that situation. He lived longer. He had more armor to deal with the physical damage coming through from Jinx. It was a long, drawn-out fight, though, a preview of the ones to come in the future. So, I mean, the one thing you can say about this fight is that you held onto the Shockwave for such a long time, arguably too long. So there's multiple times where he could have got multiple members. Didn't need to use it yet, that's fine. But watch for the ball onto Mystic, onto Maokai. Could have got a double ultimate, wanted to get a triple, but the result is just a solo ult onto Aluka, crucially. So it's a misfire on the Shockwave, punished by Mystic, who gets excited and can kite out Koro. There's multiple thoughts, but Deft is very, very low at this situation, and Mystic still has his flash available, I believe, at this point. But regardless, snipes away. No, he had his flash down. Get excited, though. That's all the mobility he needed. But the re-engage on top of the passive, the Acathian surprise. And Koro eventually picks up the kill. So easily they win it marginally, but you have to feel, again, it's all execution heavy. Both comps about kiting back. And that's a preview for the future, because right now it's all even.
Now a slow-mo, there is a Sapling. Does seal the fate there of poor Conan. But Spirit now actually, on top of the board. Never mind, the mini wave comes in to meet them, and he realizes that the jig is up. Buildwater Cutlass done now for Def, so building in towards his blade. Zeal complete for Mystic. Haunting Guy's done for Xie as well. That was his next item. Quite a few big purchases there, and Koro again, the big benefactor. Frozen Heart Righteous Glory already done.
You have to feel like the Haunting Guys is answered by all these null magic mantles already in the inventory coming through from EDG. They don't quite have the Aegis yet. You have to think that's the next big purchase coming through from Clearlove. He wants power now, which is a very interesting thing. I felt like he would just opt into a later game build here with Gia, but maybe he's actually going to go for the Liandry's on the Azir.
I mean, maybe just worried that at this point his team's a little bit behind, and again, you cannot afford to fall behind in this matchup. So trusting in Mystic's late game power, wants to bridge the gap a little bit more effectively, be stronger in the mid game, see if you can pressure more. But again, these team fights are very long, and if we go late especially, EDG have a lead, but it's not that massive, and poor Mako gonna get caught out, gets hit by a binding, Zap in there as well, but the wave actually gonna keep him safe. Clearlove down as well. Mystic though will get the kill and get excited. Clearlove are gonna go in, knock Spirit almost back in. It does knock Jinx away. Binding there again. Might go back in, but Clearlove a little too tanky at this point.
And of course, we saw Yu was going to provide a bit of utility there, so they had to back away from the fight. The physical damage is still not there from EDG. That's the big factor, is there's no Blade of the Ruined King, there's no Last Whisper, there's no Infinity Edge through from Deft. So itemizing matrices is still coming up trumps. In the late game, when the physical damage gets going from Kog'Maw especially, the fights might start to shift towards EDG.
Yeah, Mystic, though, looking very strong on the Jinx right now, and both teams looking for their second Dragon. World Elite will start it off, clear the ward out there as well. Ball on top of Clearlove is actually a little too low now. Shea gonna ult him back into the team. Clearlove flashes just at the last second, but Mystic gets him. Double ball onto Mystic in Spirit though. Conan low as well, but Shea tearing through people, and Deft trying to fight, but he can't be in the middle here, but the bubble just saves him. Shea goes down. Aluka still fighting in as well, but Deft kiting wonderfully. Does not want to flash, actually can't, and Coro will chase him, but Aluka probably not going to go down. Nami will chase him, never mind. Aquabism lands, Deft going to go in for the kill, but he'll take the CS instead.
Coro was so good peeling for Deft. The fact that he could do consistent damage that fight was just disgusting. It was lucky that Mako got to the fight as he did, threw out the heal, was able to keep him alive during the fight, but this Coro is already unkillable. Righteous Glory, Frozen Heart deals with all the damage coming through from World Elite, and it's just smart team fighting. We talked about execution advantage, EDG.
Yeah, and we've seen why Maokai has drawn so many bans as well. He's been a very popular pick. It's been one of Coro's best performing champions throughout the split. And Deft and Mako will clear out the second Dragon for EDG as well. So advantage in that field also now coming through. Rabadon's death cap completed now for Orianna. Spirit Visage almost brought straight up by Coro, and Deft narrowly misses eating that binding.
Let's have a look at the gold value. Still, it has enough for his Blade of the Ruined King. What will be his next purchase? Will it be the Last Whisper? You have to think with the pickaxe, sorry, with the longsword, probably going to be Last Whisper, but of course, could be the Bloodthirster as well. Has many flexible options. The peeling for EDG was smart. The use of terrain also, they were fighting around that choke where Maokai could just use Arcane Smash consistently to interrupt. Just smart team fighting from EDG. Should we expect anything else?
No, and again, this is why we give the slight edge, I think, to EDG. Just they've demonstrated that they play better around their AD carry. Their target priority, even with you quickly rejoining the lineups, looked wonderful. Corey going to return to the lane. He's so tanky now as well, and Waveclear not too shabby either with those spells.
So, I mean, Deft finds Aluka, still very, very tanky, forces the ult, though.
Yep, ulti out from Aluka. Can't be CC'd, so he'll just run all the way back to his tower. And you can see Aluka using the ult nicely, curving slightly around the path as well, but Deft going to clear out some more farming, getting stronger on the Kog'Maw, and that's bad news for World Elite fans.
And this EDG lineup, you know, back with you in the lineup, swapping out Deft for Name, but as I speak, that Baron's fallen fast.
Yep, the signature EDG quick Baron here at 25 minutes, and people caught out of position. Aluka's coming back in, but Shie's actually found in as well. Tidal Wave goes down, Clearlove does smite it away, and advantage EDG. The Righteous Glory even popped in. Spirit getting low as Deft is going super aggressive. Coro diving into the backline. You gets the kill onto Spirit. Aluka eats a bubble. Shie fighting over the wall, but can't do enough. Deft getting that kill. Coro still peeling everyone away, and EDG are starting to run away with this game.
But Patriots have the only reason they could get that engage was a flash balk coming through from the Kog'Maw of all people. The initiation play from Deft is what got them the modal picks, trusting the fact that Coro was going to get the consistent CC once he got into the middle of the fight. Deft going for initiation on Kog'Maw, just crazy.
Oh, Shea trying to go in. Bit of a big play, though. It's Deft. Has enough damage to get the kill. Wanted Clearlove, but don't be deceived. The Gragas is unbelievably tanky with Drunken Rage active.
What was such an even game is starting to suddenly look really good for EDG. With the Baron buff, these turrets fall real fast.
And this team, as I said, so good at those sneaky Barons. Able to sneak one in, win the team fight after, and it's little edges they need, but jumping ahead to 6,000 gold now. Tower will melt. EDG have broken the base, and this is exactly what EDG's base looked like in the last game.
I mean, at this point, Spirit can't even just get snowballs onto Deft. Finally gets one, though.
Gets ulted there by Sion. That's bad news. Deft goes down to Aluka. Coro peeling away. We should be able to run from Conan. Decent AoE there from Deft, but stayed to get the inhibitor. Probably worth it, but they'll be down with their 80 carry for 30 more seconds.
Well, definitely too little too late for World, getting one kill and trade for, what was it, Baron, multiple turrets, the inhibitor. EDG go from nothing to a 5,000 gold lead. Get the picks they need. Jia, one of the ones to fall, so of course they lacked wave clear or disengage from turrets. And EDG, again, the smart Baron, Mystic out of position in the bottom lane, was punished so swiftly.
Yeah, and the Last Whisper picked up now by Deft. We've got more items creeping through. Coro probably has something big in the works. Even Clearlove looking nice and tanky with the Aegis ready to go. I mean, we still have some items to come through from Maokai. There's the Chain Vest. Wonder what Yu's going to get as well. He's actually busy farming right now. Mystic, you can see why he was down in the bottom, wanted to get the turret and does take it away, but there might have been an advantage they just could not afford to give away.
It was just a poor rotation coming through from Mystic. Didn't respect the Baron damage coming through, especially with the Blade of the Ruined King being completed by Kog'Maw. And it's also item timings that World Elite went for, like, for example, the Haunting guys are now being super punished by EDG because they go back, finish big items like the Void Staff, like the Locket coming through. Suddenly, the Haunting guys is just a 1485 gold purchase that's holding back GS build.
Yeah, and that snowball starting to come through now. Aluka getting tankier. Double Locket actually there on World Elite side, so decent options there as far as fights go, but starting to creep vision down, looking to siege some more turrets here as well. Corrin, you position nice and aggressively. Good pink ward from Mako. Going to be cleared away, but that does give away the position. But still, we talked about it. Both teams good in sieges. Both teams good, almost as good as each other, honestly, as far as their comp goes. So
but Baron Buff is the ultimate equalizer in that conversation, Page Time. So they're easily going to take down another outer turret. Still waiting for the wave clear mid. Maokai's looking to push that advantage up. Not sure what Sion is doing. Slowly pushing this outer turret top, I have to say.
With no teleport as well. Not a good look for Aluka. As World Elite will try and clear away. They've got good wave clear with Jinx and Azir coming in, but they have to keep on it here. And EDG, again, they didn't need much of an advantage here in this game to try and take it through, but the advantage they've gotten right now might just be enough for them to finish out the last game.
I mean, just out-rotating. First out-rotating for Baron, then out-rotating in terms of the mid lane, and now Aluka overstaying in top without the teleport, not even getting the turret in all of this. And even if he did an outer turret for pressure onto an inner turret and bottom, it's definitely not a worth trade for World Elite. So despite really holding up, especially in Game 3, unfortunately the first V8, it feels a bit more like that in this game.
It does, and actually Koro maybe going to charge in here as well. We've got a bit of wave clear from the Sion coming through. Righteous Glory was popped there by Maokai. Sun turret's going to buy more time as well. The Baron buff, I believe, is now worn off from EDG, so don't have that option, but 2 Dragons up to 1 with the third coming in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the movement speed is very important for both Kog'Maw and Orianna. Orianna, just for a bit of defensive positioning, of course, her biggest threat is Aluka getting on top of her in a CC chain, taking her down, not letting her be the team fight general in the back of the fight. And Deft, at this point, is going to be fighting on multiple fronts, probably kiting back, then going aggressive at the end of the fight. So movement speed, it's always a relevant statistic. Hell, Maokai helps him get in the range for his W.
Yeah, and that experience for Deft, I actually just saw him there, level 15 right now. Kog'Maw does benefit from his levels because there's even passive attack speed on his Q is not too bad. So level 18, not a bad hallmark, but EDG going to get this Dragon now as well. That's the third. That will make all the movement and rotations that much easier. And World Elite starting to lose control of this game.
I mean, just the level 16 living artillery, even on AD Kog'Maw, the amount of range you have, and it's all about the vision. That's the kind of deceptive thing about Kog'Maw, is that he's kind of pigeonholed as a no-escape late-game carry. Suddenly, the Trinity Force build makes his one-item power spike really respectable. So again, he starts being picked. And then people cotton on to the fact that having the consistent reveal from the ultimate, just, you know, forcing poor positioning, or at least predictable positioning from either tanks or the backliners, is oh so useful as well. So the utility in his kit to complement the damage just makes Kog'Maw one of the highest priority carries in the game.
And you can see why Deft's a wonderful Kog'Maw player. We were, at the start of the season, complimenting him so highly for his Corki play. Pops a Banshee's Veil there as well. Starts the DPS down to Luca. And might force out another ulti. It does, but the chunk damage already, just from a couple of autos, is pretty significant.
I mean, worth knowing that the cooldown on that ultimate is very, very low from Aluka, and he has a reliable way to get away if he's preyed upon. But again, the slowest of pushes up top doesn't get them anything.
That's actually going to force Koro. No, does get countered by Xie. Now has to run away from Mystic. Is going to flash over the wall and can't quite follow him yet. EDG are coming in as well. No, the binding cuts him off at the front there as well. Now Koro going to try and buy more time. The ulti's down as well, but he's going to get a little too low. One more rocket they need, and Spirit takes the kill.
Very weird teleport from Aluka, though. They were definitely going to get the kill. Now Deft's face tanking this outer turret. Sion could have been instantly there. These rotations from Aluka, they're making me shake my head because I just don't understand what he was trying to achieve.
I feel the same way, honestly, about EDG from those last few plays. Very aggressive from Koro to be down there trying to split push, I guess, or push the wave out. And even Deft face taking the turrets, a bit sloppy from them. So both teams need to refocus, clean up some of the play here. And especially with Baron coming back up in 30 seconds, we have big objectives to fight over. And again, EDG with a lead, but it's narrowed now, 3,000 gold only.
I feel like Koro was taken back by the fact that there was only a couple of abilities that can interrupt the channel of the teleport, and wasn't expecting a flash Emperor's Divide from Xie. If they can punish the fact that this positioning-based backline fighter doesn't have flash, that might actually be a win for EDG, as weird as it sounds, because flash gated is Xie in a lot of situations if he wants to use his ult for initiation.
Yeah. We can see now EDG going to move in for some vision around the Baron now as well, walking over a couple of wards, but they'll start it up in almost full vision actually.
And Jinx is not there.
Yeah, they're going to force on a fight. Mystic again, slightly out of position for this fight. Koro going to zone them away. Aluka going to dive straight in. They're not going to finish it this time. They will re-engage. Clear up onto Spirit, going to try and cancel it. They're actually still in the Baron pit, taking too much damage. Aluka diving in as well. Now Mystic's joined in and Mako kiting away. They need to get Aluka, but an ulti there lands on the Shie. Deft flashes out of the pit on top of Aluka, but Yu goes down to the Baron damage. Shie tries to get away, and Cobalt somehow gotten a double kill, but Deft now getting aggressed on Mystic, gets a triple kill, maybe make it a quadra as Koro's going to move in as well, but Koro again, the last man standing, does get Mystic.
He's got a blue buff
will
this
chase
time.
down Conan again. No, gets bound there. So the supports will survive here, but another weird fight. And it ends in a bloodbath, 4 for 3.
It was a super sloppy team fight coming through from EDG. Yu actually took over 60% of his health just from the Baron aggro. And then Deft, it switched to Deft of all people. They couldn't get out of the fight. That's why Deft had to flash aggressively. It wasn't an initiation flash, which actually looked great the last time he used it 5 minutes ago. It was just get the hell away from Baron aggro fight. And again, the magic resist shred was consistently coming out, ensuring that Jia was doing even more damage. Even Spirit's Absolute Zero ripped through the team. EDG's positioning twice in a row, quite poor.
Yeah, and the gold lead very slim now. Only 1,000 up for EDG. Despite the 3 dragons and the 6 turrets to 3 that they're up here, World Elite all of a sudden have a way back into this game. Again, we talk about the scaling. Both AD carries looking big. Both mid lane is looking big. Top lane tanks massively tanky there as well. It's certainly going to come right down to execution now, and EDG are going to siege once again for the Baron, but Dragon's back in a minute 55, and Aluka going to dive in there, gets Koro for a mini stun, but Shield there is going to keep the Maokai safe, but they're still going in. They want the damage on the Maokai. Clear tries to disengage with the ultimate, and Koro, Righteous Gory pops the ultimate, come down though as well. Spirit, they're still disengaging, but Koro going to get low. Tidal Wave cancels the Absolute Zero, and Koro's still alive. Deft though, getting chunked out. The ulti onto Jie, not quite enough. The Aqua Prison almost makes it good, but Jie just gets away, and that's a 1 for 0 now for World Elite.
So it's a single pick. Crucially, Koro doesn't have teleport. They want to start the Baron, but no health Jia, no health Spirit. So it's only 1 pick, so it shouldn't be any big advantages coming through to World Elite. They haven't been able to get any of the global gold. In fact, if they got these 3 other turrets to match the 6 turrets on EDG's side, they'd actually be ahead in gold despite the gold reduction on those turrets. It's sloppy fighting coming through from EDG, and you have to say, in some ways, Space Jam, they seem to have shut off after those first 2 games.
Yeah, it's been really messy here. I mean, Game 3 was just World Elite sort of getting ahead of them, snowballing, and EDG being, okay, maybe we mispicked, maybe we just had too much of a sloppy early game, but Spirit really took over in Game 3. This game is just sloppy execution of the end game, and I think that's the first time I've ever said that about EDG this entire split.
I think it's not been a trademark of their 2015 play. Koro needs to be the person leading these fights. He's 2,000 gold ahead of his lane opponent. He's got so many items in this point. He's super, super tanky. We've already seen that Deft can live a long time in these fights, but they can't be tanking Baron. They can't be positioned so poorly. In a straight-up fight for the last 15 minutes, it's been advantage EDG. We just haven't seen a straight-up fight.
No, and it's just been sloppiness across the board, and both teams vying for the big objectives. World Elite now will move in to clear out some of the Baron vision. But it's, again, balanced very tensely. It was pretty tense at 6,000 gold ahead for EDG, and now basically at nothing at 36 minutes into the game. Sun Turret set up for Shie, World Elite with fantastic positioning.
And Mystic actually has an item advantage over Deft, about 500 gold himself away from an Infinity Edge. So hasn't managed to match the 4-item spike coming through from Mystic. Has Blood Boiler well. Baron's going down quickly.
Koro coming in, but Clearlove getting poked out. And the Baron now coming through as well, but World Elite going to get it to the Clearlove. Will dive into the pit. He actually does not seal it. Spirit will get it there instead. Now Koro diving through as well. The Shockwave coming in, but just appeal for death. They have to keep him alive. Conan getting over. Mystic getting resets. Aluka in the front line soaking so much damage. Will finally die to Orianna. Koro now getting in the back line, but Shie still fighting. Flashes over the wall. Deft is dead actually there as well. And World Elite, they've come out ahead. Mystic going off in the later stages of the team fight. Finishes in style with a triple.
Mystic went huge that fight. Deft couldn't respect the damage from Azir. Had to tank it if he wanted to get any damage on the backline, so died incidentally. You died to 1 crit. And World Elite might break the base.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of good damage done. They've left the 2 carries alive. They're both not too shabby when it comes to pushing. Mystic, especially with 4 items, going to shred through the turrets, and they'll keep melting them down. Inhibitor is broken.
And the kiting back from World Elite's been so impressive in these fights. Mystic's got so many more autos without punishment compared to EDG. He's going for more damage. He wants to finish this game.
Jeez, this is aggressive. Clearlove, though, can't do anything. We'll get one turret. Going to work on the second. Clearlove going to try and buy time here. Corey back in 10 seconds. You up soon as well. Deft is also there, but Aluka is teleported back in, and Deft is trying to fight. He gets on the Mystic. Too much damage to the World Elite. They break the Nexus and force Game 5.
World Elite are doing crazy things this series. They look so much more cheery. You could see the smile on Spirit off your screen. 2-2 after 2-0 lead in the start of this game for EDG. And the nightmare, I talked about Mystic's nightmare in Game 3, suddenly it's EDG's nightmare, as it's a best of one for all the marbles.
That's insane to think that we went into this playoff match. And even having World Elite win a game seemed like a miracle at the time, but to go to a deciding game here is just incredible. And Clearlove sinks his head back into his chair. That is not the face of a happy man.
I mean, a lot of these performances more reminiscent of 2014 EDG, Pawn not being in the lineup. Yu has played admirably, but certainly is no Pawn. He's definitely on a different type of champion pool pastry time. So much more wave clear, so much less assertive play. And opting into the late game against Mystic's Jinx no longer looks like a realistic option.
No, and maybe Jinx is the big contested pick we have to look for, because I think it's won every game it's been played.
Exactly, 100% win rate tonight. Deft was doing admirable things, but actually just couldn't match the control. And it was Azir punishing him for trying to get any damage during a fight. Azir did a lot more work than Orianna. We talked about the fact that Azir is so strong peeling back for a carry. Did that well.
Well, we have one more game left to play between these two teams. World Elite versus EDG is going to a Game 5.